everybody, so we're back talking some more Moon Knight on the channel with the 5th episode, the last episode before the finale. I've been very excited to get back into Moon Knight because the episode last week, episode 4, it ended very crazily. You know, seeing Mark wake up in this unknown place with all these various characters we've seen throughout the series, and then the horror of that hippo god Tamaret to cap things off. That was definitely something I was not expecting, so couldn't wait to find out what exactly her purpose was involving Mark and Steven and potentially Jake Lockley. Most episodes of the show have been pretty wild and intense from the get-go, but I think this one definitely takes the cake. And before going into the actual review portion, I have to say, Oscar Isaac, this is probably one of his best performances. He really carries this whole show on his shoulders. He's fantastic in this episode. This is probably his best episode of Moon Knight so far. Right from the get-go, it's very much confusing. We're going back and forth between the hippo and back to Harrow's room. It's pretty trippy until we actually get the full reveal. It's not actually an asylum that we're in Chicago. We're actually on a boat. Not just any boat though, because they are in fact dead. You know, Harrow shot them an episode back. It looked pretty real to me, and it was real. Kind of amusing in a twisted sort of way that the realm that they imagine for themselves is this asylum. I gotta say, the banter between Steve and Mark, at least in the earlier portion of the episode, it's great. It's really entertaining. They're trying to craft this plan to potentially kill the hippo, at least Mark Spector is. Once we get past that initial humor though, it is a very serious episode all around. I wish that we had this big character exploration a little bit earlier on in the season, you know, a couple episodes back, because it is one episode before the finale and we're getting this big backstory dump on both Mark and Steven, but I still think the backstory itself is extremely intriguing. Seeing their entire backstory fleshed out, going through many of their memories due to their scales being unbalanced since they need them to be balanced to make it to the Field of Reeves, because we see their actual hearts are not balanced, and it makes me wonder of Jake Lockley. That's probably part of why they're not balanced, but you know, just speculation. Moon Knight as a character, I think a lot of people aren't aware of how triggering some of his backstory can be, so I hope a lot of people aren't triggered by that going into this episode in particular, as this is some very hard-hitting, heavy material here. You know, we go back to his childhood memories, even if they are very traumatizing and triggering between what happened to his brother and the abuse that Mark took from his mother that he hid from Steven. All of that stuff I think is somewhat well done. I found it to be a fascinating portrayal of how a person with dissociative identity disorder works and the stumbling of all these awful different memories and how alters are formed through the trauma. I'm not someone who has this disorder, so I can't really speak on the accuracy, but I feel like at the very least it was done respectfully and probably a little bit too accurately in some shape or form. So like I said, I hope it's not too triggering for people watching that, but I guess in a sense it's a good perspective for people that aren't aware of that stuff. Just on a personal level though, I mean, it pulls on your heartstrings just seeing the amount of trauma that both Mark and Steven went through in their entire lives. Mark pretty much keeping all of the bad memories from Steven. I mean, how can you not feel something just seeing that unfold in this episode? And I think that is bolstered by this amazing portrayal from Oscar Isaac, who has to do heavy lifting portraying both of these characters and have these conversations with one another. It's very impressive work. I think it's just one of those testaments to show that Oscar Isaac is a fantastic choice for this character. Outside of all this though, I also love that we finally get to see how Mark became Moon Knight. We also get a Bushman reference. I'm assuming we're not going to get to see him in this series in some shape or form, but he is this person that exists in the universe. I hope we do get to see him in some shape or form somewhere down the road, whether it be in another season of this, or it's going to be in something else entirely in the MCU. There wasn't any Layla in the episode, but we do get the confirmation about her dad and the way that he died. It seems like we're setting her up to be a hero, the Scarlet Scarab. Not confirmed or anything, but I think that's, you know, what we're leaning towards. With the way that we leave off everything in this episode, I'm very excited to just see the final showdown between Moon Knight and Harrow, because Harrow's doing some grade A gaslighting in this episode, whether it's Mark, whether it's Steven. It's pretty intense just seeing those scenes with Ethan Hawke in this episode, and the way that we end off the episode, it did actually make me kind of sad. It looks like we're gonna lose Steven because Steven gets taken off the boat, and he turns into sand, and then the scales actually balance out, so it seems like we may have lost Steven. I'm not entirely sure how that's going to work. I feel like he's going to come back though, and we're going to get Jake Lockley in the finale, but that's just my prediction. I'm excited for the finale next week. Now we got the big backstory out of the way from Moon Knight as a character. Really great episode, just deep diving into the character of Mark Spector, Stephen Grant, and Moon Knight. Like I said, I wish it was a little bit earlier on in the season, just so we didn't have to have that right before the very last episode of the finale. But either way, I had a lot of fun with the episode. Make sure you share your thoughts down below. What you think of this episode of Moon Knight, episode 5, Asylum? If you liked the episode, episode, and I like the episode. Should we be nominating Oscar Isaac for an Emmy because of this portrayal? Because I think he deserves it, probably just off this episode alone. Like, this is going to be the episode I think they should send to have him be nominated. Either way, thank you guys so much. Check out the reviews. I do appreciate that. Make sure to like on the video. Also, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Start reviews, reactions, unboxings, and more. Next time, I'll see you guys later.